As we continue public testimony on Senate Bill 3 and Senate Bill 1505, the chair calls Sean Salvaje, Dr. Robert Marks, Brian Dombrowski, Sheila Hemphill, Jesse Williams. Again, we are looking for Sean Salvaje, Dr. Robert Marks, Brian Dombrowski, Sheila Hemphill, Jesse Williams, and shortly we'll be looking for Scott Van Landingham, Elizabeth Cross. So we'll try to continue to move witnesses through so that everyone gets an opportunity to testify without any interruptions from anything that they want to share with us. And so we will begin and start over on my left, your right. Introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Thank you. My name is Brian Dombrowski. I was the altar boy with the Dare Bear, but I come here before you today as a veteran and a former teacup patient. Someone who, like countless others, have been failed by our teacup program and turned to hemp instead. So what I want to do with my 2 minutes is connect the dots. You see, SB 3 and SB 1505 were released the same day. We all saw SB 3 coming. Its sole purpose is to kill the hemp industry. But what about SB 3 coupled with SB 1505? I'll tell you. SB 1505 is meant to give the keys of the kingdom over to the Canadian cartel that is now known as Texas Original. Unfortunately, SB 1505 will not fix the teacup program, not this year or next year. Although it will move things in the right direction, we will still have more of the same. The same people who have done everything they can to crush and eliminate their competition will be further empowered. Good Blend will probably get scraps and Fluent will probably lose their license. No new teacup licenses will be awarded because these corporations will continue to lobby against competition to protect their bottom line. While these corporate cannabis conglomerates have hired former Texas chiefs of staff to do their lobbying to kill hemp, the patients of Texas have continued to suffer. Those are the facts as I see it. Also, with rumors spreading that the teacup RFP from 2 years ago will be canceled and 130 teacup applicants will be left wanting, just like the patients. So before we move forward and kill the hemp industry with SB 3, please understand the devil's lettuce is in the details. It's not about the kids. It's not about safe medicine. It's about the bottom line. And the worst part, the company behind this power grab no longer deserves to have Texas in their name. If they truly cared about the patients of Texas, they would be offering both. So please regulate and do not decimate hemp, and truly expand the teacup program without furthering the monopoly. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome, ma'am. Introduce yourself and go ahead. Oh. Yes, ma'am. Or if you're ready, we can come back to you.
Yeah, please.
We'll come back to you. You sat down. Go ahead. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Oh, wait, me?
Yes, sir. The guy in the white coat.
Okay. Okay, I'm Dr. Robert Marks. I'm a pain management physician here in Austin. I am one of the 2 physicians on the Texas Department of Public Safety's teacup work group. I'm the medical director of Good Blend. I have been on the advisory committee and continue as sort of an official advisor to Texas Original Compassionate Cultivation. I also have a practice, sort of a partial practice within my practice, Texas Herb Clinic, and also actually have Texas Herb Center as one of my businesses where we sell non-intoxicating CBD products, including products primarily with 0 THC. I'm not looking to get people high. Thank you. I'm actually speaking in support of both bills. Contrary to what many might think, I'm here as a physician, as a doctor, and I'm looking out for the safety of our patients, of my patients and everybody in this room, quite frankly. The 1505, unquestionably, unequivocally, the things that have been problems with medical cannabis in this state have been the inability to be able to store products elsewhere, which was making it impossible to be able to provide service to areas in many parts of Texas, also kept the costs really high. Lack of rapid onset products, primarily by pulmonary inhalation, has made it challenging for patients that need rapid onset, such as chemotherapy-induced nausea, vomiting, or somebody that just woke up and had some sort of trigger from their PTSD, or somebody with an onset of a seizure. Absolutely critical. I do agree with what many people have said about the dosing cap of 5 milligrams being a bit low. At the same time, I recognize that it's something that can be worked with. Doctors can prescribe more even if they're not able to provide more per dose. I think it may be something to consider at least looking into. But the medical program goes hand in hand with SB3 because the research that people are talking about with SB3 killing will go to the medical program. In terms of SB3 and my support, to be clear, I am not here to say that cannabis is dangerous. Frankly, it's not. It doesn't kill people, but it does have drawbacks. And I talk to my patients about the drawbacks. It can impact memory, it can impact thinking. Also, the byproducts that we don't necessarily consider. Vaping brings very hot substances into the lungs that can cause other issues that are not necessarily directly associated with the actual medicine. But unregulated production of synthetic over-the-counter medicine is dangerous. If Tylenol was banned and companies were able to start coming out with some variation of Tylenol and selling it to our children at gas stations, nobody would be okay with that. The business side, the economics, the jobs, the fact that people enjoy it, the hemp industry has a lot of benefits in that regard. But in terms of what we really need to be focusing on is the safety of our patients. And as much as I hate to regulate the program or to regulate hemp to the point that it kills hemp, I think there are so many loopholes in the laws that if you don't have an extremely, extremely challenging threshold for people to be able to exploit the laws and sell dangerous products, we need to have something that bans it all together until we put our heads together and or the federal government ultimately makes this whole thing recreational and legal, which I think is the long-term inevitability, whether we like it or not. But until then, we just gotta be safe. I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Doctor. We'll get to the end. Thank you, Doctor, for your testimony. And we're going to ask all the witnesses to hold tight after you testify because we may have questions for all of you or any of you at the end. So go ahead, ma'am, introduce yourself and give us your testimony. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Sean Salvaje. I'm a military veteran. I used to work for the Secretary of the Air Force in the Department of Defense for over a decade. And I am now, since our last legislative session, a pro bono lobbyist. I am here right now representing myself. There's some question as to whether I'll be allowed to represent those who have hired me to speak for them for no money. It's disappointing to see that Senator Perry is not in the room as the author of the bill. There's a few things that I'm concerned about as a mother, as a Texan, and as a patient who uses these products. One is that by only allowing CBD and CBG, you are effectively banning THCV. THCV actually counters the psychoactive effects of THC. This is a new study that has come out recently, and you might ask, well, why haven't we received these studies before? Because of prohibition and the DEA limiting and restricting scientific research. The industry in other states is catching up, and we're finding that molecules like THCV can actually counteract the psychoactive effects. So what SB3 does is ban the very molecule that could be your solution. It's in the military, we like to gather all information and facts, and I've also become a professional mediator and arbitrator. So part of my regular duty as a good Texan and as a veteran is to hear both sides of an equation and help parties come to some form of mutual understanding and resolution. That's what we're seeking, right? Especially as we make laws. This bill does not find any resolution. It's disappointing to hear that the good actors who are in this room, because the bad actors who are doing what Senator Perry has spoken of, they're not here in the room. You are alienating good Texans, veterans, and business owners who want to support legislators in creating healthy law, and they want to develop scientific research. You're effectively calling them drug dealers. Early on in this session, I find that disheartening because we're here to come to the table. As a veteran, I'm supposed to maintain an air of neutrality look at the facts, and determine what actually serves the well-being of the people. That's what I signed up for as a military person. That's what I do now as a good Texan, as a mother, and as a consumer. If you pass this bill, you will be criminalizing veterans and mothers and patients. We cannot recriminalize people when you have already given them permission to buy these products and the market demand asks that hemp farmers and producers manufacture them. So against SB3, as far as SB 1505, yes, it's a step forward, but it does create a medical monopoly. I would urge the Senate to consider SB 170 and to work. I don't know what the issues are that prevent Senator Perry or Senator Menendez from working together. SB 170 is a comprehensive medical bill. I understand I'm out of time. I just was hoping to have 2 minutes on each topic. I am available for questions and would be happy to meet with all of you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Including Senator, especially Senator Perry.
There are a lot of witnesses waiting in line. Those who are here on both bills get more time than those here on one bill, and we gave you a minute more than that. So thank you. Ms. Hemphill, introduce yourself. Go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair Hughes and this committee. If we could get this document around, please, as it is graphic, and it's helpful if you'll have the graphic, please.
Get a little closer to the mic as you testify.
Okay. Can I start my time till you?
Get a little closer to the mic. We'll take care of that.
Thank you so much. My name is Sheila Hemphill with Texas Right to Know. I also represent myself as the then Texas Hemp Industries Association Executive Director starting in 2015 that helped bring this bill to pass in Texas. Its intent was to help revitalize rural economies and bring desperately needed medicine to the population whose options are hideous, especially in regard to children's seizures that often result in barbiturates, which are addictive. Barbiturates that control your respiratory and your heart rate and will cause you to overdose, which you cannot do from cannabis. You'll have to forgive my presentation, as I have been the person diagnosed bipolar 30 years ago. I have been the one in the psychiatric ward 3 times. I brought my medicine today because I've been eating carnivore for a year, and it's been the best thing that I thought took care of my PTSD until 15 minutes ago. So I am recovering from a panic attack in the back room 15 minutes because my trigger is empathy. I don't just hear people's problems, I feel them to the core, and it has broken me, and yet I've learned. I could have barely been easy being the one screaming and have to be hauled out, because I've done that too. After the Republican convention in 2014 about medical cannabis, yeah. They don't tell you when you go into emergency room that you have the right to remain silent. So I would recommend don't try to talk your way out of an ER doctor of why you're in there, and you need a sedative. This structure is so broken that and it's not just Senator Perry, and I will tell everyone, Senator Perry is possibly one of your greatest advocates of holding Big Pharma and insurance accountable during these questions. Senator Hughes is one of the kindest chairs you will ever see and experience. So the aspect that we're getting more minutes like this is at his discretion, and I appreciate it. We can fix this in an amenable, but it's going to take everyone. It's going to take the industry. Law enforcement has problems about being able to test it. They're using the wrong testing equipment. We need better testing equipment that can tell you exactly down to the precision of what's in these products. I have proposed numerous times that the industry needs to provide the testing available at AgriLife facilities that are all across the state. Your farmers could take in their product, test their product. The consumer, if they're concerned, test the product. And if they're guilty, prosecute them. How much did we hear? This product's over, this product was illegal, this product was illegal. DAs won't prosecute. Well, you have bigger problems than just a product. But right now, let me tell you, I'm into visuals. When you take an isolate, Senator Hughes, if you call me and say, Sheila, my battery's down, that's no problem. I'll come jump you off. And I come with this. Am I going to be very successful jumping off of your battery? No, because it's a two-way system. If you look on the back of your chart, you will see that we have our God-given endocannabinoid system that's in every mammal. It is a system that is two-way. You take out that little portion of THC and you're going to have an isolate. You talk to the people that are in the industry, it is an ugly process to get an isolate. It is not a natural product. We need the combination. The industry needs to provide this testing. Consumers need to go and make sure that it's safe. They need to stop the deception of this disgusting product marketing. There are solutions. If anybody would listen, and I'm kind of pulling it together because I went and ate my good fats. So
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Hemphill. We'll continue to read the materials and work with you. Thank you for your
I
testimony.
think the industry can help solve
Thank you for your
this.
testimony. And ma'am, we gave you a little time to get ready. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead. No, ma'am. We're on to this witness now. Ms. Hemphill, we're on to this witness now. You've been here enough times to know the rules. A lot of people are waiting to testify. Come on. Thank you. Go ahead. Introduce yourself. Give us your testimony.
I'm Liz Cross. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner.
Get a little closer to the microphone.
Sorry. I'm Liz Cross. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner here in Austin. I work with Child Neurology Consultants of Austin. I have been in the industry for the last 5 years serving the pediatric population. I also sit on the Teacup DPS working group, and I have graduated with a master's degree in medical cannabis science and therapeutics from the from University of Maryland School of Pharmacology in 2023. I stand here really to advocate for my patients. The pediatric population is what really started this program here in Texas with epilepsy. I want to continue this program for my patients. The kids are the ones who really are the ones at loss when these medications get changed or we don't have access to them. I need these products to remain regulated and to remain clean with good access to these kids. I support the 1505 bill to be able to have better access through the state. I also think while the 5% cap or the 5 milligram cap is okay for my pediatric patients, I do have teenagers, adolescents, and young adults who that is going to be on the low side as a dose, but as Dr. Marks pointed out, there are other ways we can deal with that. That being said, my concerns with 1505 are the patient's concerns, and the families that I have heard from have said they're worried about CPS involvement. They're worried about how there's nothing in here that talks about that being a safeguard for them if they choose to enroll their patients or their children in this program. And then additionally, DPS has not provided them any formal written recommendation or written formal documentation that states that they do have children in this program. As it stands right now, DPS will only provide that written proof to a state industry when they are asked for it. So that is after CPS is involved and potentially children are already removed from the homes. This is a big concern for my patients. When we talk about Senate Bill 3, my big concern is there are patients who do not qualify for the Teacup program in the pediatric population or are too concerned about these laws that they're going to get in trouble having their kids in the program. So they rely on big hemp industries such as Charlotte's Web, Lazarus Naturals, to name a few. Both of these have products that contain THC. They will then struggle with the decision of whether to give their patient or their child a medication that has been helping them effectively for the last 2, 3, 5 years versus getting in trouble in the state of Texas. This is a real concern for them. They're going to be torn of potentially losing their child or having a CPS case on them versus treating their child that has been effective for the last several years.
Thank you for your testimony. Senator Betancourt, you have the panel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheila, I need a targeted answer to this because you have a point that I need to understand. Okay, what is the difference between DPS testing and Texas AgriLife testing? You mentioned it. What's the difference between the two?
It could be an intermediary. I know that DPS forensic labs are overwhelmed with materials. If the consumer knew, and better yet, the vendors marketing these materials knew that I could walk in without every product and have it tested as a preliminary evaluation, then if this preliminary at AgriLife showed hot, then it could be progressed onto the criminal forensic lab and prosecution. It would be an intermediary step. It could be utilized by the consumer. It could be utilized by the farmers. The industry can pay for it, get some lab equipment, train some people, and have good outcomes. Don't take away the attribute that even makes it worse. Don't isolate. Thank you.
Okay, right, Sheila. So
Yes, sir.
what you're suggesting is an intermediate testing step.
Yes.
Right? To use an AgriLife as an indicator before it's sent to the criminal lab.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Just want to make sure I understood.
It'd be great for the growers as well, because THC is a defense mechanism, and if you get drought, even in your fields that are necessarily for hemp, not very often, but it could. It's a defense mechanism. It could help everyone.
Okay, Sheila, that I understand. I just need to understand that the technical point. If I could go to the pediatric doctor, could I ask, give me an example of exactly of a patient that couldn't qualify for the teacups
That could qualify?
or could not qualify?
That could not qualify.
Right, that you have.
Yeah, so there's some patients who do come to us who have headaches. They do not qualify, who have other neurologic pains, who do not qualify. And then there's some people who have refrained from the teacup program, concerned that there's not safeguards in place to be able to have products that have a higher content of THC.
Okay, so if I can understand it, you've got a cohort that has other neurological problems and therefore can't qualify for it.
Yes, there are people who do not qualify.
Okay, and then the other side is you have people that are concerned about
Safety implications or legal implications of using it.
the legal implications.
Correct.
Because the downside is,
Because if their child tests positive for THC in a ER setting, they're chronically ill, they do go to the ER. If they have autism or something else,
Right.
then they might be tested because they're not acting, quote, normal, neurotypical. And if they get tested for THC and they're not part of the program, then that's something that would pop up.
okay. Doctor, back to the point that you made, you said that there were side effects that you were concerned about. I think there were 3. Could you go over those again? Just the whole program?
Yes, sir. I was just kind of bouncing them off just from my mind. I mean, but people that are chronically using cannabis, I mean, there's weight gain from just eating a lot, memory issues over time. When people get high, even if they're using it for medicinal purposes, there's still some degree of highness. I mean, you get a little bit of a tolerance over time, and you might not necessarily be as high as a kite like you sort of think about in some of the movies, but it still has some impact on the way our brains think.
No, the studies I've seen, especially in Colorado, that you have people that are still high Monday morning that are headed to work, and they have a higher incidence of traffic accidents, et cetera, especially like in towns like Colorado Springs and others. So I've seen some of that information as well as anecdotal. Let me go over the memory loss scenario. Is that something that's documented with enough studies? Or is this not just memory loss, but is it potential for other neurological disorders at that point? Because memory loss affects a great many things.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand that last part.
Memory loss would affect a great many things in the brain. So that I'm just trying to, understand what's the downside after memory loss? What's the next step that can occur?
I mean, in terms of long term, impact on relationships, economics. I think of memory loss as kind of everything in life.
Is it a precursor to dementia, or do we have a link on that yet, or not?
I believe there's some, but I'm not 100% certain on the specific research. I could look at, I could certainly get back to you if you're interested.
Okay, I would. And for the pediatric doctor, same question. Besides memory loss,
Long-term effects?
yes.
So I will tell you that in my practice with the patients that I treat, most of them don't have, I'm going to say 100% neurologically normal working brains.
So it's not right. So
So most
you
of
don't
the
have a
time-
normal cohort, so you're dealing with a different
Correct.
group,
And
right?
most of the time with epilepsy, if we stop having seizures, then we have a more normal cognitive function. And same with autism. Actually, there's some research that shows that this actually neutralizes and makes them have a more neurocognitive working brain.
There's no question that cannabis oil for epileptic patients was a major improvement for the quality of life for them, right? And I guess I'm trying to understand, because Doctor, you had mentioned that there was, different versions of this that didn't have active substances. I think that's pretty well used around for many, especially many children and young adults as well. But obviously, we've got an issue with Delta 8 and Delta 10 type of concentrated products that are being sold like popcorn, out of, gas stations across the state. So, I don't think anybody here is advocating that at this point in time.
Well, if I can actually testify to my personal experience I have a neurological condition and PTSD and a couple other things after multiple years of service in a tour in Afghanistan. My gas station does carry hemp products, and when I can't afford the teacup program. If even at the recommendation in 1505, my expense would be in the thousands of dollars instead of what I'm spending now, which is about $300 a month on hemp products that are providing an alternative. Every morning I wake up with numb hands and feet. This is from my combat deployment. And I take a THCV gummy. It helps with that. I could tell you I am constantly
Right,
medicated.
taking one that has a legal limit in it, right? Or
With THCV, it actually doesn't. So there's a misunderstanding.
with the V version, it doesn't have it, right? That's what.
With the V version, that doesn't contain THC, but we're conflating THCA, THCV, and THC. So we have to be really mindful about that. I do go when I can't go into the city or I can't get access to Good Blend products, which would cost me an amount, and I hope that we can see medical expansion so to reduce those costs. I do go to convenience stores. Having worked with the industry to be a good shepherd, what I have found is that many of the operators who are selling out of convenience stores, they are just providing what consumers are demanding, and it would be on us to provide education and resources.
You mentioned that in your testimony. Now, just one last question.
Just answering your
Even though you have PTSD, you would not qualify for teacup?
I do, but it is not comprehensive enough to actually treat my symptoms, and the cost would be exorbitant. I'm a single parent, and the provider for my family, we're talking about multiple thousands of dollars versus a couple hundred. Okay. And if we expanded the teacup program to more than 6 licenses, as SB 170 suggests, that would reduce those costs. It would help significantly, but I'm worried about outlawing molecules that actually counteract the psychoactivity of THC, like THCV.
Thank you. You made your
CBD.
point. Okay, thank you. All right.
Senator Bigcourt, I am a Class A misdemeanor. What do we do with these products that are out there? Are we going to put law enforcement in to coming and looking at my cupboard? What do we do with them? I can't tell you how many I've given away here in this building. You might check your desk.
Good.
Thank you. Oh, sir, I am against SB 3 and 4, 1505. I wanted to make
Sheila,
sure.
that much we figured.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have your registration. Thanks, Ms. Hemphill. Senators, any other questions? Doctor?
I just wanted to touch upon the economics with what would happen here with both of these bills actually passing. Is so many people that are currently utilizing products from the hemp industry will inevitably end up moving toward the teacup program. By the teacup program being able to provide products and store products overnight in other locations throughout Texas and having higher demand, which has been a huge problem. The majority, like over 90% of people that join the program end up leaving the program because hemp is cheaper. So the program would actually have an infusion of enough patients along with products that are good enough and well enough regulated with good enough quality to be able to provide reasonable pricing and quality products for everybody in the state. What I have seen, and I just didn't get to mention it in my other minutes, but I've had multiple doctors text me photos of fake dispensaries that are hemp shops. I mean, one of my buddies, orthopedic surgeon, he texted me, he said, hey, looks like one of those dispensaries is opening up in my neighborhood for your patients. And I looked, it was some sketchy place, but they write cannabis dispensary on it. And that deception, when I'm seeing people that are our parents' age, people that are scared of cannabinoids and have been forever, and understandably so, but if they're gonna dive into it, they wanna make sure that they're getting an organic, real product. And these companies, unfortunately, are not selling actual organic
There's a lot of
products.
false fronts at this point.
There's a lot of falsities out there.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
testimony.
Hey, Doctor, thanks for that. And I can speak for the author and everyone here when I say that the goal of these two bills together is just what you described: get folks the help they need in the safest, most effective way while protecting children and in the process. So thank you each for your testimony. Thank you for being here. You're excused. Thank you. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I will never go back to the teacup program. They have failed me. I won't go back to a restaurant that I don't like, because they have failed me. And there are tens of thousands of people that have walked away from the teacup program and will not get back. We need an alternative, please.
Thank you. Thanks for your testimony. You're excused. Thank you very much. We had previously called Jesse Williams and Scott Van Landingham. And so we're going to give them another opportunity if Jesse Williams is here and Scott Van Landingham. Then we're also going to be looking for Scott Stubbs, for Alicia Jaffrey, for Erica Sanchez. Sit down anywhere. Make yourself comfortable. Erica Sanchez, Ashikur Rahman, Ekra Ahmed. So if I called your name, make your way down here. If we don't have seats for you, we'll get you on the next panel. We're looking for Scott Stubbs, Alicia Jaffrey, Erica Sanchez, Ashikur Rahman, and Ekra Ahmed. And we'll begin testimony with the witnesses we have here. And ma'am, if you are ready, introduce yourself and go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Erica Sanchez. I'm from New Braunfels, Texas. I am a graduate of Texas Tech University. I grew up in San Antonio. I was an elementary school teacher for 15 years, and now I own a cannabis store. We label it as a wellness boutique because we do not sell anything in there that is a smokable. We do a lot of gummies. We do a lot of topicals. And the people that we're helping are going to be your suburban moms who are overwhelmed with life, and your 65 and older community who are striving to get themselves off of pharmaceutical medications. My own family has been touched by this when my beautiful 8-year-old then son, well, he's still a son, but he's not 8 anymore, was diagnosed with anxiety after COVID. His pediatrician's first response was to put him on an antidepressant. After reading countless side effects, we just thought this can't be the best option. And so very reluctantly, we went into the cannabis field and found that it was, for lack of better words, a miracle for us. I also grew up with a father who was in a motorcycle accident, and he was on naproxen, Percocet, hydrocodone, and he was a less than kind man, and he drank a lot to subdue his pain. I don't want to call him an addict because I don't believe that's what he was. But now that he has the option for THC, he is no longer drinking. He is no longer somebody who is hooked on these prescription medications. And at 43, I can finally have a relationship with this man who I desperately wanted one as a child. So I think it's important to really see the benefits to people who are not taking advantage of it. And I think that there are a lot of ways for us to regulate, especially the chemicals and the nastiness that goes into a lot of products. It's not necessarily across the board because it's something we take very seriously in the products that we sell in our store.
I thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Welcome. Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Jesse Williams. I'm here testifying on my own behalf in a DAV Chapter 219, Sergeant James W. Allen. I am the legislative adjutant and the patient advocate for that chapter. My background is I was a nuclear power plant operator in the Navy, and I've met with you, Senator Hughes, before, and I would say that I'm been very blessed since our last meeting because I went through a double lung transplant in September. And I have this unique position right now where I'm not allowed to be on any cannabis product whatsoever because of how it interferes with transplant medications. And it is something that I'm glad that I would say I'm testifying on 1505, that I'm glad that we're reinforcing the idea of research. We definitely need to be able to do trials to see how these types of things interact with the medications like tacrolimus, otherwise known as Prograf. They told me when I got into this and I started doing my workup, they said, you can't be on these products. It interferes with the medications. I'm like, fine, I get it. But it definitely took a toll on the fact that I also have rheumatoid arthritis. And when it comes down to it, no provider, I can tell you, ever wants to have their patient consistently on prednisone if they don't have to be on it. And NSAIDs are a no-go usually during this. Cannabis is its own little wonderful product. It somehow just doesn't interact that way. And we have a good lead on why. We need to be able to dial and fine tune. And I wish that Texas was willing to compete with places like University of Wisconsin in trying to be number one at medical items like this. I'd love to see Baylor in some sort of competition trying to figure out how they can fine tune medicine to help people like myself, help people like the veterans that are at my chapter. Because I can tell you, especially with SB3, which I say against with how it's written right now, is that these individuals are not using it to get high, as some people have said. They're not using it to be intoxicated. They use it because they have symptoms it alleviates. And we even run into patients where, I won't say patients, but veterans who, or even like my son who has autism, they're not high from this. This is almost like a rectifier for what's going on. They're having these seizures in their head that once they take this medication, they're not high. They're normal operators like you and I. It is just the balance they need, and we fine tune it. Everybody does. Everybody's, oh, you could take too much, you take too little. I literally, an hour ago, had to step out of the gallery to take a phone call from the VA in Madison, Wisconsin, to tell me about my tacrolimus levels and how they're gonna adjust the medication because the levels are a bit high. I'm almost 6 months, it's still a balance. We're moving back and forth. But I know that it's a lot more complex than 4 minutes worth of talking. So I'm hoping the rest of the session I'll get a little bit of time to come to y'all's offices and give a little bit more detail on how we could probably fine tune this to where it works out for everybody in the long run.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Welcome, introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Hughes. Thank you for the opportunity to talk. My name is Scott Van Landingham, and I'm here representing the Vega CBD. I'm here representing myself as a Texan, as an American. This is a public forum, and I came to talk because I want my voice heard. If anything, I want my children to hear my voice and know what I've been doing for the last 6 years, like these two just spoke of. What we do at our company is provide quality products. We follow the law. We don't do anything criminal. We do everything that we can above and beyond board. We were here in June and talked to you last time, Senator, and told you the same thing. And we continue to fight this battle, and I'll continue to fight this battle if it takes another 6 or 7 or 17 years, however long I have here. What we do is we sell products to the veterans through the veteran VFW posts throughout Texas. I am opposing Senate Bill 3. December 4th, whenever we all heard about it, we spent copious weeks bothering people in this Capitol to try to get a meeting with anybody. I was talking to the schedulers for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, for Abbott, Governor Abbott, and for other senators. I'm also somewhat offended that Senator Perry is not in here, being the champion of this bill and the one that's pushing this. With the remainder of my time, I'd like to just point out the fact that regulation is what's needed. Everybody here is saying it. Most of us in here are the good actors. Most of us in here are the ones that are going to continue to fight and not the ones out there doing the improper things. Prohibition doesn't work. Y'all are politicians. You guys know your history. You should know your history. Prohibition did not work. There's reasons why it didn't work. There's good people that'll get you the products that you need if things are illegal. I'm not a criminal, never been a criminal. I'm not a politician, don't want to be either of them. What I'm going to do with my time, if this thing gets approved, which I think we all have a feeling that this is heavily weighted in favor of getting approved through the Senate, is I'm going to spend my time in getting as many people as I can to keep coming back here and fighting this thing in whatever capacity I have to do it as an American. It's my right, and that's why I came today. As he said, there's so much to talk about, and if you have any questions, I'd love to answer anything. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony. Welcome, introduce yourself, and go ahead.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the committee. My name is Aisha Jeffrey, and I work at the headquarters at Bahama Mama in Houston. I'm proud to be a part of a team that shares your commitment to small businesses in Texas. We prioritize integrity and take measures including thorough training to ensure highest level of customer experience to those we serve within our community. The majority of our customers are professionals over 30 who are not seeking to abuse the system, but rather looking for a genuine relief. I have witnessed firsthand the positive impact of our products through my own sister's experience. She previously worked in long hours in a high-pressure restaurant environment, which led to severe anxiety and depression. Traditional prescription medications did not help her and left her feeling disconnected. However, after trying 1906 Bliss, which is a 2 milligram Delta 9 THC and a 5 milligram CBD capsule, a more natural alternative, but she began to truly feel like herself again, and I was relieved to see her joy come back. On a personal note, this job has been a lifeline for me. After being let go from my previous employer in the healthcare industry and being unemployed for about 2 years, joining this industry not only allowed me to support myself, but my children under the age of 5, and also help my parents. My father is retired and my mother is a homemaker. Losing this job would mean I could no longer contribute to their household expenses and significantly impact my ability to provide for my family. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And thank you for your testimony. Senator, any questions for any of the witnesses? You're recognized, Senator Hinojosa.
Thank you. Forgive me for mispronouncing this. Is Mr. Van Landingham?
Yes, sir.
Van. You talked about for regulation, right? And you said that there's a need for that. In your mind, what type of regulation would be adequate that's different than what we're proposing in SB 3? Because, are you for example, these high levels of THC that is a problem that we've found that, are being sold to kids and, others have testified is a problem. So what does that look like in your eyes?
Yeah, I really would. I'm not prepared to answer what the regulations need to be. We follow what we think are good practices ourselves because we looked at Colorado licenses, we looked at California, we looked at Oregon, Washington, we looked at all the legal states that were doing THC, and we put our practices towards those policies. We treated this as if it was THC from the day one when we applied for a license 6 years ago so that we can do the proper thing so that we can get a THC license when Texas catches up. What we're trying to do is the right thing from the beginning. What we need is oversight. We need testing. I don't have the answers. I would like to pass to her a letter answer for the regulation if you have an answer, if you don't mind.
Up to the chair.
Chairman, if you don't mind.
We've seen this elsewhere in other industries. This isn't something new to Texas or any other state. We saw it happen, as mentioned earlier, with the cigarettes. We've seen it happen with alcohol. And we can look at the blueprints that we've put down as to how we've curbed those problems with those items. We put age gates up. We put restrictions on where it can be sold. We literally said, if you sell this to minors or we find out you're related to selling to minors, we're gonna give you fines. We're gonna start putting people in jail and taking away your privileges because it is inappropriate to do so. We have history of doing this. It's not a mystery on how we should handle this. It really isn't.
This is probably a controversial way to say this, but I think that we need to stop focusing on the potency, the milligrams, and we need to start looking at the ingredients and the chemicals because those are what is causing most of the harmful side effects that we're seeing with the women, God bless them, who have their children who are so negatively affected. There's thousands of people who aren't because they're very careful about what they're putting in their products. I am open to anybody coming into our wellness boutique and having them pull anything off of our shelves and testing anything because I want my customers to microdose. I want them to find the right dose for themselves. And just because the bag says 30 milligrams Delta 8 does not mean that everybody needs to take that. Most of the men who come into our store take 15 milligrams and the women will take more, whether it be hormones, whether it be body weight, emotions. anxiety. It just depends on what everybody needs, but I do believe that we as adults need to have the option to figure out what we need for our own bodies, but we need to focus on keeping things clean, and we need to focus on keeping things quality, and those chemicals and those synthetic ingredients that go into the products are a bigger problem than the actual THC.
And when we talk about, like she mentions, there are people who put care into the quality of the products. In other industries, we don't see the industry get banned because of a few bad actors. We say we get rid of the bad actors and we let the good actors continue to abide by the regulation we've put in place. I've been likening it lately to when we talk about gun rights. We don't take away gun rights because something happened with one guy with the gun. We say we deal with the one guy with the gun and we rectify that. We don't take away everybody else's privileges and rights for them acting appropriately.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I thank each witness for being here, and I think the witnesses that have testified before realize this, but members of the Senate are on multiple committees. As some may know, Senator Perry left to meet with someone who was opposed to these bills, someone who shared your view, and after that, he went to a hearing because he's in charge of fixing water problems in Texas. So everybody here's got stuff they're working on. They're all important. Their staffs are here. This hearing is live streamed into every office in the Capitol and also online. So thank you for being here. It matters. It's part of the record, and we're listening, and you're excused. Thank you very much. The chair calls Scott Stubbs, Ashikur Rahman, Ekra Ahmed, Jacob Charles, David Walden, John Burke. I know some of these names I'm calling for the first time, so just make your way down if I call your name, and if we don't get you on this panel, you'll be on deck for the next one. So again, we are looking for Scott Stubbs, Ashikur Rahman, Ekra Ahmed, David Walden, John Burke, and John Jowers. And then on deck to testify in the next panel, we ask you to make your way down to the Senate floor. Jacob Charles, Shafin Tamini, Michelle Amriel, and Ray Ukani. Again, we're looking for, in the next panel, Ray Ukani, Michelle Amriel, Shafin Tamini, Jacob Charles, and if I've already called Jacob, I apologize, John Jowers, John Burke, David Walden. So we're going to start with the witnesses we have. Did I call your name, sir? Oh, come on down. We got a seat for you if you're ready. Thank you. Thank you for working with us, being flexible. And if I called your name and you don't have a seat, please hold tight. We'll have you on the very next panel. So thank you each for being here. You're welcome here. We want to hear from you. And so we're going to start over here on my left, your right. Introduce yourself, get close to that microphone, and give us your testimony. Welcome.
Yes, my name is John Burke, and I represent Shell Shock CBD as a retail store owner in Dallas, Texas. In 2019, I started Shell Shock CBD with my partner because I saw how much CBD, Delta 8 and Delta 9 can help combat veterans such as myself. I served this country for 13 years, and 4 of those years I spent fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, from Fallujah to the Korangal Valley in Afghanistan. What we provide is a means for these veterans like myself to find temporary relief that many of those opioid medications the VA puts us on do not. Those same opioids contain many negative side effects that THC does not. And THC is the safest drug out there as cited by rehab.com. And I'd also like to point out one thing real quick. These blue experts you brought in here from law enforcement, the state, did not list one category or one statistic of someone that actually died from THC overdose, because nobody ever has. That's a farce. We can sit here and argue all day long the benefits or the negativity, but folks, I've walked down your city and the city of Dallas, Texas, and I see vape shops and alcohol and gun stores every single place, but I don't see you calling to ban any of that. Why is that? We can have Congressman Perry here sit here and say, are you a doctor? My question is reversed. Are you? Is he? What gives these people the right to tell free citizens what they can and cannot consume? Because last I checked, we all fought for that right. How dare you sit here and presume to lecture veterans as he has and say, are you a doctor? Or that we're intentionally selling to kids. My friend that sat here just 5 minutes ago said, we are following the law. We jumped through hoops. I paid $750,000 in taxes to the state of Texas, or excuse me, the federal government. I do everything by the book, but now I can't sit home and light one up because I might have some kind of euphoric effect. That's called getting baked. That's what we do. It's no different than alcohol. But for some reason, THC is this big bad boogeyman that we can't have. For what reason? Because it's certainly not safety, because more people die from alcohol and gun and tobacco than THC ever will. I relinquish the rest of my time.
And welcome, introduce yourself and go ahead.
My name is Ashiku Rahman. I'm the owner of two store, Bahama Mama's name, and I have regular customer in her early 30s who has medically diagnosed ADHD a while back, and friends finds it's hard to focus on her day-to-day activities, which includes her job as a web developer. She comes in once every 2 weeks, give them FG and hybrid gummies, and she concentrates the work daily base. She worked for home, and she finished work within the deadline. She tried to medicine, pills, but it's feel dizzy, afford which she opts for D8. And I invested lots of money in this business, and lots of people working with me in case this business will ban. So I'm not only sufferer, the people working with me, they also suffer. So that's it today. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Thanks for being here. Welcome, introduce yourself and go ahead.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for your time today. I'm Ikra Ahmed, and I look after 2 Bahama Mama retail store in Houston. All of us here have invested a lot of time and money into this business just for a better future for ourselves and for the people who come to us just to feel a bit of relief at the end of the day. Most of our customers are people who just want to feel better after a hectic day, and most of them are suffering from conditions such as anxiety, ADHD, insomnia, and whatnot. One of my closest customers is a man in his mid-40s who is suffering from Parkinson's disease, and he's in stage 2 right now. I have firsthand experienced his condition, and it was very scary for me. Thankfully, his brother was with him to take care of him, and he comes in once in a while to buy the Dozo Delta 9 Smasher gummies, indica to be specific, to help him sleep at night. When I asked him about his proper medications, he said that he cannot afford the medications needed. Right now, he's surviving on social benefits, and it is barely enough to scrape by. So, on the other hand, the people who work for us depend on this business to afford a life for themselves and bring food to the table. If this goes away, people will not only lose their means of life, the people who come to us to feel better at an affordable rate because they cannot afford the proper medications, they are going to lose their last chance to feel better with whatever they're suffering from. If we want to ban THC, why are we not banning alcohol, guns, and other stuff that put people's life at risk? Thank you for your time today. That's all I want to say.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome, introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Thank you, Chairman Hughes. My name is Jacob Charles, and I'm here today to represent myself and to share my story with you and the fellow senators still in the room. Again, my family has many Texas roots spanning multiple generations. I'm proud of my Texas heritage, but I'm also a husband, a father, a combat military veteran who served over 22 years with honorable service to this country. Like most of my veteran brothers and sisters, it was our honor and duty to serve and protect this great nation of ours. I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps 2 days after my high school graduation at the early age of 18 years old, just old enough to purchase a lottery ticket, but at the same time, not old enough to order a drink in a bar or to visit one of those establishments. My duties required me to answer our nation's call when we came under attack under 9/11. This incident had a traumatic and lasting effect on me. And unless you, Senator Perry, or others in this room have experienced that, you don't want to know the horrors that one is exposed to when we answer the call of our nation to take arms against those that did harm to us. Upon my return from my deployment, I, like many other Marines, reached for that bottle of alcohol to cope with our depression and our anxiety, our stress. As a Marine, we're taught and trained to deal with our incidents, whether in the military or civilian life, as the famous phrase, Marines improvise, we adapt, we overcome, and most importantly, we never show weakness to any and all. As you can imagine, alcohol was not the answer. It only increased my anger, my depression, and led me to losing my family more than once when I had to be enrolled in inpatient care and suffered through divorce from my current wife. During my treatment, I was diagnosed with PTSD, substance use disorder, depression, sleep apnea, just to name a few of those. So like most veterans, the VA prescribed many medications to me, which all they did was increase those feelings of living that traumatic incident. I'm asking you today on behalf of most veterans, and I'm sorry my time is up, but I feel after 22 years, I get a little bit more than 1 minute of your time. So I humbly ask you that thanks to the President of the United States at that time, President Trump, who paved the way for these products, I am grateful for him because the last 4.5 years, I've had no negative side effects. I've been able to engage the time with my family. I've been able to see my children. My son is currently enrolled in Texas State University, where he's going to receive his master's degree. And something I probably wouldn't even be around with when I was on those prescription drugs by the VA because I was walking around like a zombie. So I ask you humbly here to reconsider the ramifications you will have on many of these Americans and many of these people that have a store in the state of Texas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for sharing your story. Welcome, introduce yourself, and give us your testimony.
My name is John Jowers. I am representing the Department of Texas VFW as the State Assistant Adjutant, also as myself, a disabled combat Marine. For 13 years, I've been battling many mental and physical injuries, with countless doctors and specialists attempting to treat these injuries with a myriad of prescription drug cocktails, to a point I was taking nearly 10,000 pills a year. 4 years ago, I began using high-quality hemp-derived consumables. Within just 2 months, I was off all prescription medications except my diabetes meds. The 11 drug interactions that once sent me to ERs and hospitals simply vanished. I transformed from a man burdened by thousands of pills into a high-functioning individual, a better husband, father, and person, all thanks to these products. I stand before you today to ask, please do not ban a product that has given me and countless others a second chance at life. A product that has been safely used for over 4,700 years. While we support increased regulations to ensure quality and safety, an outright ban could be a death sentence. Before legal hemp-derived consumables entered my life, the medications prescribed for my suicidal ideations pushed me dangerously closer to giving up, resulting in failed suicide attempts. Legal hemp-derived consumables are not just a reason to sit around and get high. They are the reason that I'm not just another statistic today. I respectfully urge you, give us the choice. Increase regulations if necessary, but do not ban a product that has helped veterans and non-veterans reclaim our lives. When you sent us to war, you gave us the best weapons possible. Don't make us fight the battles of everyday life without the one weapon that we know is the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you each for being here. And we're listening to you. And thank you for taking time to do this. You're excused. Thank you very much. The chair calls David Walden, Scott Stubbs, Shafin Tamimi, Michelle Amriel, and Ray Ukani. Again, David Walden, Scott Stubbs, Shafin Tamimi, Michelle Amriel, and Ray Ukani. And then we'll ask the following witnesses to be making your way down to testify on the next panel, and that is Sean Claudio, Katie Fraser, Mark Bordas, Joshua Sherrill, Blanca Canales. And we do have one more spot, so if any of the names I just called are here and ready to testify, you are welcome, whether you were for the next panel or this one. And that would include Blanca Canales, Joshua Sherrill, Mark Bordas, Katie Fraser, Sean Claudio. All right, while we'll go ahead and, if you don't mind, we'll start with you while he takes his seat. If you're ready, introduce yourself, give us your testimony. Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity
And
to let us
get
speak.
close to that microphone.
Got it. Thank you for the opportunity to let us speak today. I'm here to strongly oppose Senator Bill 3.
And give us your name, too.
And my name is Ray Ukani.
Very good. Thank you.
I have done my bachelor's in animation and design. I have done my associate in filmmaking. I have done my associate in photography. And I'm a proud owner of Bahama Mama. I became a believer in hemp product after it has improved in the industry. Our clients are 40 plus and very professional, such as sheriff, constables, nurses, university professor, engineers, lawyer, and many more. I personally use hometown roll-on since I suffer from sciatica pain. I used to take prescribed drug, Tylenol 3, before going to bed, but I still had discomfort and could not sleep. But the day I started using hometown roll-on, it genuinely helped me to minimize my pain. And I can now get 8 to 9 hours good sleep without waking up in middle of the night. Similar to myself, a large number of customers utilize hemp product to ease their sciatica pain, arthritis pain, and resume their regular lives. This sector has improved human health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome, introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Texas VFW State Senior Vice Commander Dave Walden, and in June I will assume command of the Texas VFW. I am a U.S. Army veteran who served from 2001 to 2012, including deployments in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Like many veterans, I live with chronic pain, PTSD, and sleep issues, challenges that led me through the VA prescription cycle. I was prescribed Vicodin, Valium, Neurontin, Tramadol, antidepressants, sleep aids, and various other medications. These drugs left me in a fog, unable to function. My memory became so impaired that at my worst, I wandered 2 blocks from my house in my pajamas, gripping my cane like a rifle, completely lost and unaware of where I was. That all changed when I discovered a legal alternative, hemp-derived consumables. Since 2018, I haven't needed opioids, antidepressants, or sleep medication. I've been promoted, earned Employee of the Year, and worked my way up to Director of IT. But more importantly, I'm a better husband, father, grandfather, and advocate for veterans. The struggles we face are not ours alone. Our families bear the weight of our battle wounds too. But Senate Bill 3 threatens to take this life-changing option away, not just from me, but from thousands of veterans who rely on it, because the VA will not pay for it and will not prescribe it. Will not pay for it and will not prescribe it. The Texas legislature has always supported veterans, yet you're considering a bill that would push us back to the same failed system of opioids that has already claimed too many of our brothers and sisters. In fiscal year 2023, Texas spent $116 million on opioid abatement. 93% of that came from federal funds. Why would we undo progress and send more veterans back to the very system that created this crisis? Just a couple more seconds if you don't mind. Some of you support this bill based on personal beliefs, and you have that right, because people like me fought for your freedom to hold them. Others of you agree with me, but can't risk standing up to other state leaders. If that's the case, fine. But look me and the veterans I represent, the 64,000 plus veterans I represent, and their families in the eye when you vote yes to take away the one thing that could keep us from rejoining the opioid epidemic. Protect veterans' health. Please vote no on Senate Bill 3.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Amriel, and I am in opposition to SB3, the SB3 bill, protecting access to holistic health options. As a busy single working mom, my life is always full and fast-paced. To support my well-being, I use pure and clean CBD tinctures with a small non-psychoactive amount of THC under 0.3%. It helps me unwind after a long day. It quiets my mind when sleep feels impossible and manage anxiety in these unpredictable times. I also rely on it for reducing inflammation, maintaining blood pressure, healthy blood pressure, and more. I even give it to my 8-year-old dog for her health. It keeps her out of the vet, it supports her nervous system when she is anxious, and it keeps her inflammation in check. I choose holistic wellness over pharmaceuticals because I prefer natural solutions without the harsh side effects. The healing potential of this plant is undeniable. And when used properly, CBD alone isn't as effective. THC in small amounts, 0.1 to 0.3, is essential for it to work. Without it, the benefits simply aren't there. I'm here to voice my deep concern about the proposed bill SB3 and the significant impact it will have on the health and wellness community. Banning all THC in products is an extreme measure that would strip away access to important wellness tools for countless individuals. This bill doesn't just limit products, it limits people's ability to choose natural and effective options for their well-being. I understand the concerns around the abuse of THC and the rise of highly intoxicated products. I agree that limits are necessary. However, banning THC entirely is not the answer. I propose we keep the laws around hemp in alignment with federal guidelines proposed under the 2018 Farm Bill and banning all synthetic THC products. Responsibility use should be protected. I'm almost done. The hemp plant plays a vital role in wellness, obviously provided by our creator, keeping people out of doctor offices and away from unnecessary pharmaceuticals. It seems hard to believe that SB3 was created with any consultation with folks in the industry, as it would devastate thousands of businesses in Texas and tens and thousands of families who rely on natural, holistic alternatives for their health. My hope is that you truly listen to the people of Texas and create a more balanced approach, one that allows us to continue using and respecting this plant for the benefits it was put on this earth to provide.
Thank you for your testimony. Sir, welcome. Introduce yourself. Give us your testimony.
Yes. Good afternoon, all senators. My name is Shafin Thami, and I'm here.
Get a little closer to the microphone so we can hear you.
Good afternoon, honorable senators. My name is Shafin Thami, and I'm here as the owner of premium CBD wellness retail store called Bahama Mama in Houston, and also as a consumer as well. I also work directly with 100+ diverse professionals, including first responders, veterans, medical workers, single parents, and everyday hardworking Texans, most of whom are over 40 years old. I wish I had the time to tell you every real story of how these people's life will be devastated if this ban passes, but since I have only 2 minutes, I'll share two. First, Mark, 49 years old, retired Army veteran, a single father of two. He lost his wife a few years ago, leaving him to raise them alone. His PTSD and anxiety and arthritis pain were unbearable, and on top of that, he couldn't sleep, either from stress or pain. The VA prescribed him opiates and a cocktail of pills. We all know what happened with opiates, but Mark walked into the MI store desperate for something that wouldn't destroy his life. I introduced him to the THC products that's legal in Texas, and his world changed. He went to barely surviving to thriving, working construction, being present for his kids, paying taxes, and staying off addictive drugs. Senator, if this bill passes, him and hundreds of others I know will have to either go back to opiates or worse, deal with black market, which it could cause jail time. Second is Linda. She's 54 years old, a single mother of three. She had to lose her husband a few years ago because of gambling addiction. And her firstborn child, which was 23 years old, died this January. leading to the second son having PTSD after the shocking news. Her only sibling, her sister, was killed in a car accident last year by a drunk driver. Linda works two full-time jobs and one seasonal job just to keep her family afloat, but her years of stress and loss and exhaustion left her crippled and arthritis and anxiety. Her doctors kept prescribing her medication that slowed her down. She nearly lost her job because of them. I'm almost done. She nearly lost her job because of them. She was exhausted, anxious, could barely function, let alone be there for our children. When she found these products, she felt relief, clear-headed, functional, and emotionally stable. Senators, again, if this bill passes, hardworking Texas like Linda will suffer from anxiety, which can potentially lead to suicide, which we all barely talk about nowadays. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. And back over here, we're back to where we started. Introduce yourself and give us your testimony. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Hughes and members of the Senate State Affairs Committee. My name's Mark Bordas, and I'm testifying today in my capacity as Executive Director of the Texas Hemp Business Council, which is opposed to Senate Bill 3. Texas has a proud heritage of creating a pro-business environment while protecting the interest of its citizens. Economic freedom, free enterprise, and limited government are hallmarks of the Texas economy. The state has won 12 consecutive prestigious Governor's Cups for the best place in which to do business. And while Senate Bill 3 may be well-intentioned, the way in which it is written would create unnecessary burdens on businesses, farmers, and the general public. Pushing a legitimate, lawful, licensed $8 billion a year plus industry, which employs over 50,000 Texans out of business, will force Texans to unregulated, unlicensed, and unsafe alternatives. The number one killer of 18 to 45-year-olds in the United States is fentanyl. If Senate Bill 3 were to pass as written, it would likely increase the risk of more fentanyl deaths. Furthermore, as you know, while both hemp and marijuana come from the same plant, hemp has the least amount of psychoactive compound, THC, 0.3% or less. Anything above that is marijuana, which is still classified as a Schedule I drug and illegal by federal law. It stands to reason that if Texas has a THC problem, it is from marijuana, not hemp. You can't cure alcoholism by banning light beer, and hemp is the light beer of the cannabis. If product is being sold disguised as hemp, but is marijuana, those selling the product ought to be held accountable. But we recognize that Texas has an enforcement problem in that they have too few DISH's employees trying to police about 8,000 registered retailers. Additionally, it's estimated that only about 30% of the fees these retailers pay go towards enforcement. 100% should be used to rein in bad actors. More regulations and resources are needed. I'm attaching a list of recommendations. And in closing, please regulate it, don't eliminate it. Please vote no on Senate Bill 3, and I thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Any questions for any of these witnesses? Thank each one of you for being here. You're excused. The chair calls Sean Claudio, Kathy Fraser, Joshua Fennell, Blanca Canales. And I'll ask the following witnesses to make your way down as well. Tommy Javrud, Haley Hunt, Andrea Salas Daniels, Brijesh Gill, and Aaron Owens. I'm going to go through names again. Some we've called previously, some we're calling for the first time. Please make your way down, and if we don't reach you on this panel, we'll have you on the next one. Shan Claudio, Katie Fraser, Joshua Sherrill, Blanca Canales, Tommy Jevrud, Scott Stubbs, Haley Hunt, Andrea Salas Daniels, Brijesh Gill, Aaron Owens. So if I called your name for either of those panels, please come and have a seat. We're ready for you. Thank you very much. We'll try to keep filling so we can hear from everybody who wants to testify. And if I called your name and there's not a seat for you, please hold tight on the Senate floor and we will get you, hear from you very quickly. Welcome. Introduce yourself and please give us your testimony.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Brajesh Gill. I'm a professor, licensed physician, and a researcher at the University of Texas Health Science Center in Houston. My lab has developed a new anti-inflammatory formulation that contains a broad spectrum natural hemp extract and no THC. I'd like to make a couple of points that hopefully might influence the language in Senate Bill 3. I've listened today about all of the legitimate concerns from law enforcement and the devastating stories from the families that we heard today. And I would note that everything that has been addressed or brought up by those people could be addressed by the banning of THC. And I wonder about the additional language in the bill that restricts other cannabinoids other than CBD or CBG. First, I want to note that natural hemp extracts that contain everything except THC are much more effective than CBD alone. I've personally conducted a clinical trial where 94% of people had less pain with a natural hemp extract that did not contain any THC versus CBD alone. The other issue is that restricting hemp extract or hemp products to just CBD and CBG makes it very, very difficult to actually manufacture any kind of hemp product because a natural hemp extract will normally have other cannabinoids in it, including CBN, all of these other CB whatevers. I think that the bill could be improved by simply adding a few other cannabinoids that normally are in hemp extracts to the bill, to the list of acceptable compounds in those, and I've listed those in my written testimony. Thank you for your time.
Doctor, thank you for your testimony. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Hello, my name is Blanca Canales, and I am here in direct opposition of Senate Bill 3. I'm a God-fearing woman and a proponent and purveyor of legal marijuana. I'm here because I have personally witnessed the positive effects this plant has made on so many lives, from the elder lady with shingles being able to play with her grandkids again, to insomniacs finally being able to sleep, veterans suffering from pain, and even a pig with a hurt knee. This also changes the lives of people who can find comfort in a legal product. People who have been arrested in the past for simple possession, who have been given laced marijuana, or those who want pain relief without the stigma can currently buy what they need with comfort and ease. The status quo cuts back on small drug possessions, which saves millions of dollars wasted on enforcing minor marijuana infractions, saves years spent stuck in the relentless cycle of the prison system for something that is legitimately medical. It saves Texans from going out to dangerous sources and places and protects them from a possible laced product. Should a laced product be sold on the street, tracing it back to its source is practically impossible. Should something sold in stores cause sickness, that can be shut down and investigated. This protects the lives of our people. The hemp industry would be basically destroyed by requiring Senate Bill 3 to pass, and in doing this, you'd be denying effective medicine to thousands of people who rely on it to live normal lives. Exodus 30:23 is a recipe for holy anointing oil, which contains kaneh basem, a Hebrew word that many scholars believe to mean cannabis. The word is mentioned again in the Song of Songs 4:14, where it's named among the finest of herbs, and again in Isaiah 43:24, where it's named as a respectable offering to the Lord. This fits in Genesis, where he assured us we were given all seed-bearing plants. We should embrace this with the knowledge that it's safer, it's regulated, and God wants it. 62% of Texans also want this. I implore you to vote against Senate Bill 3 for the good of the people. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Andrea Salas Daniels, and I testify before the Texas Senate Committee on behalf of the Texas Hemp Business Council, where I serve as executive board member and vice president, the Dreams Brand CBD Pros, and Healthway Education Systems. I'll comment on both SB 3 along with 1505. Again, we are in opposition of Senate Bill 3, and we stand alongside our industry peers in strong opposition As business owners and parents, we fully support reasonable regulations for hemp-derived cannabinoid products, and we respect the role of the Texas Department of Health Services to enforce such regulations. However, an outright ban on hemp-derived Delta-9 THC products would be detrimental to Texas businesses, consumers, and the state economy. Rather than ban, we support stronger regulatory enforcement to close existing gaps, such as age restrictions, tamper-proof packaging, and ensure consumer safety while preserving access to legal and tested and responsible manufactured products. The 2018 Farm Bill permits hemp-derived products containing up to 0.3% Delta-9 THC, a standard in which Texas has already adopted. However, this bill does not recognize the full spectrum of the natural occurring cannabinoids in hemp. And as an industry, we advocate for regulations that reflect the science and economic realities of the market, rather than isolating such specific cannabinoids such as CBD or CBG. By banning legal hemp-derived products, we drive consumers toward the illicit markets. I think we've heard a lot of that already, where product safety cannot be guaranteed. A prohibition approach would weaken regulation and enforcements rather than strengthen it. Again, we agree that in the case of minors, that they shouldn't have access to these products. However, the appropriate response is responsible for regulations. I've included some information on paths to actually educate our youth school administration, along with state agencies, on how to engage in that. When it comes to Senate Bill 1505, there was a recent study that was conducted last year that was provided to the state in guidance on how to improve the program. Education is key. The lack of that is where we end up here in opposition to one another about what should be safe and available to the public. We should have the right to choose and allow us an opportunity to sit at the table with you to find solutions and not look at us as the problem. So we certainly thank you for your time, and I'm welcome any questions.
Thanks for your testimony. Welcome, introduce yourself, and go ahead.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Haley Hunt, and I am testifying against Senate Bill 3. I'm a mother of 3, a nurse, a business owner of House of Jane, a boutique hemp dispensary in Dripping Springs, and an executive board member of the Texas Hemp Coalition. I've been a certified medical cannabis care nurse since 2022, and since 2019, I have operated a legal, fully compliant hemp dispensary that has served thousands of Texans looking for safe, effective alternatives to pharmaceuticals. I am not here to oppose regulation. I support responsible regulation. What I oppose is the elimination of an industry that has helped countless people, especially those who have not found relief through traditional medicine. Every day, I work with real Texans with real needs. Mothers looking for low-dose THC options to ease anxiety without impairing their ability to care for their children. Veterans with PTSD who find relief in non-addictive plant-based options. Seniors who are prescribed a dozen medications experiencing side effects like dizziness, confusion, and loss of appetite, seeking a safer, natural alternative to improve their quality of life. Texans dealing with chronic pain, sleep disorders, and debilitating conditions who finally experience relief through legal tested products. As a nurse, I believe in education, patient safety, and compliance. That's why we already follow strict industry standards, which is full panel lab testing for safety and potency, no marketing to minors, sales restricted to 21 plus, and child-resistant packaging. But eliminating this industry will not eliminate demand. Instead, it will drive consumers toward dangerous, unregulated alternatives where no one is checking for contaminants or potency. Beyond health, this industry supports small businesses and thousands of Texas jobs. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony. Thanks for being here. Welcome. Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
My name is Tommy Juvrud. I come to you before you today as a wife of a combat veteran whose life has been vastly improved by hemp consumable products. I also come to you as a mother. I too suffer from CPTSD and secondary PTSD. I suffered greatly from anxiety attacks, depression, and pain from a genetic disorder. Hemp consumable products have assisted greatly in our family, giving us the opportunity to live a happy, full, and productive life. Before we found hemp consumable products, we were effectively homebound from anxiety, side effects of medications. My husband would be awake maybe 3 hours to have quality time with me and my daughter. I tell you this to let you know that we want to spend time with our families. We want to spend time with our children and make memories with them, which we can now do. I understand the concern for children. All parents worry about our children. We as parents and caregivers must take steps to keep our children safe around firearms and swimming pools and all that could potentially harm them. Safety measures apply to hemp consumables also. It is about access. If we can be responsible adults when it comes to these injury prevention areas, then we can keep our kids from being hurt. As a parent, if my child misuses something, I don't immediately take it away. I explain the need to use things properly and how they can be injured. This is why I support regulation on hemp consumable products, not a ban. If there is an all-out ban, we will be de facto taking parents away and taking parents away from families and children. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for these witnesses? Thank you each for being here. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. The chair calls Shan Claudio, Katie Fraser, thank you, Joshua Sherrill, Aaron Owens, Tara Latil, Tammy Gross, Eddie Velez, Oscar Guerrero, John Culp, Elizabeth Meigs, Adam Bazaldua, Brandon Tijerina. And if I called your name and we're out of seats, just hold tight and we'll have you on the next panel. You're welcome to take a seat around the chamber. Just to make sure the folks are getting prepared to testify, and some of the names I'm going to call are already seated here. That's okay, but we're going to be looking for Brandon Tijerina, Adam Bazaldua, Elizabeth Meigs, John Culp, Oscar Guerrero, Eddie Velez, Tammy Gross, Tara Latil, Aaron Owens, Joshua Sherrill, Katie Fraser, Shan Claudio. Welcome. Please introduce yourself, and we'll start on my left, your right. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Meigs. I accidentally registered wrong the first time, so I went and fixed it. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
Yes,
and
ma'am. And Ms. Meigs, get a little closer to that microphone. We want to hear you.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth Meigs. Thank you for this opportunity. I am speaking against Senate Bill 3 on behalf of myself and everyone that I've helped over the past 6 years. First, I'd like to ask you to think of your daughter or your granddaughter, if you have children, when you're listening to my story. 25 years ago, at the age of 14, I was severely injured in a car accident where I suffered a traumatic brain injury. As a result of this traumatic brain injury, I had insomnia, unable to sleep more than 2 to 3 hours. I had severe muscle spasms, which required Botox injections every 3 months for 19 years. I had hormone issues and none of these issues that I had were ever fixed using big pharma pharmaceuticals. I would always take something natural or pharmaceutical that never worked 100% of the time. 19 years post-accident, I found my hope in a bottle, which is full spectrum CBD, THC. All of the hundreds of cannabinoids came together to help my muscle spasms. I no longer required the Botox injections. My sophomore year of high school, my family had to rush me to the emergency room because they thought I was having a heart attack because I had severe muscle spasms in my chest. I would get these severe muscle spasms throughout my body at least once, if not twice a year, for 19 years. Full spectrum CBD, the THC specifically, is what was able to control those muscle spasms. This was natural, not using botulism, which is a toxin, not using other synthetic pharmaceuticals that never worked 100% of the time. If you ban THC, you are taking away my freedom.
Ms. Mix, thank you for your testimony. Thank you for telling your story. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tammy Gross, and I am here representing myself. I apologize. I'd like to thank you all for hearing us out. I know that this is a tedious task for you, and I really appreciate your time. In 2023, my husband was hit and T-boned by an 18-wheeler. Both hips were crushed, and he's had to have replacements. His left shoulder was injured, his spine, and his neck. We have been through several surgeries and trying to relieve this naturally. I am a naturalist. I'm a massage therapist. I work a lot with people that are in constant pain. And I am asking that SB3 be thrown out because while I agree with absolute regulation, I own a CBD store because it has been the only thing that has naturally helped my husband. In 2024, I had a severe leg break, and I had to have hardware put in. I don't like taking medications, so I was able to use my product, and I actually healed within half the time by using natural things. I work with a company that does the proper labeling. We make sure that everything is third-party tested, and everything is presented to education-wise to our customers so that they understand how to properly use this. Taking away THC is going to hurt so many people, and please do your research before this bill passes. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
My name's Tara Latil. I'm a conservative native Texan, if you can't tell by my accent. I am the Director of Franchise Operations for CBD American Shaman, overseeing over 50 franchise locations across Texas and over 200 locations across the U.S., including my own small business in Beaumont. I'm here today to speak against SB3 and ask for a more balanced, responsible approach instead. SB3 would effectively ban all cannabinoids and even some CBD and CBG, cutting off access to widely used beneficial products that thousands of Texans rely on daily. Veterans, seniors, and working families who are simply looking for safe, legal relief they can access right in their own hometowns. These are Texans seeking help with helping manage discomfort, helping manage everyday stress, and support with sleep. These are not people seeking intoxication. The hemp industry supports close to 50,000 Texas jobs, and American Shaman franchisees alone employ hundreds of Texans. At American Shaman, we have franchise owners across Texas, from Austin to Houston to Lubbock and everywhere in between. These are not drug dealers. These owners are moms and dads, grandparents, veterans, and first-time entrepreneurs, the very people who make up the heart of Texas. They invested their life savings. They purchased hemp licenses, and they took the initiative to even offer waivers to adults to make sure that they held their product in a safe manner. They've followed every requirement ever put in place. They've paid taxes, and they've built trusted, compliant businesses within their local communities. If you pass SB3, these jobs and businesses will disappear along with that tax revenue and consumer protections that come with a well-regulated industry. I ask you to consider additional missing regulation, not elimination, by testing a final product, age gating, enforcing penalties for bad actors, over shutting down compliant companies. Let's work together on a balanced approach that protects consumers, supports law enforcement, and preserves Texas jobs and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Owens. I'm a Texas farmer and rancher. I'm a hemp business owner and I'm a founding board member of the Texas Hemp Coalition. I'm here today because SB3, as written, would destroy my business and hurt countless Texas farmers just like me who have been following the rules properly since day one. I'm here to testify against SB3. I started and operate one of the first hemp farms in Texas, where we grow on average 5 to 10 acres of hemp a year, and then we extract those plants ourselves and we manufacture our own products, including Texas' first hemp beverage, which is my flagship product. It's called Tejas Tonic. Each acre of hemp I grow can create up to 25,000 cases of this beverage. Hemp allows myself and other Texas farmers to earn up to 10 times more per acre compared to traditional crops like squash. The mission of Tejas Tonic is simple. We're here to help people. Americans and Texans alike can all benefit from consuming something non-synthetic, organic, and natural without alcohol that reduces stress, enables rest, and generally calms everyone down. I'm just going to give this to you straight. 99% of the problems and concerns you have mentioned are a direct result of synthetic versions of THC. There never needed to be, and doesn't now, any other THC than the naturally occurring Delta-9 THC found in the plant, period. Also, just a little insight. Real benefits have never come from an isolated active ingredient like CBD by itself or CBG or THC even, but rather an entourage effect of all the naturally occurring compounds found in the plant itself, all working together to create the natural relief and benefits that users experience. Ultimately, if SB3 were to pass as is, it would effectively take me completely out of business. From having to break my agricultural leases to the hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory that I've worked very hard to get would also be at risk. My future and my life's work would be taken away from me, and all of this after putting my best foot forward and playing by the rules as a good actor. There are many brands like Tejas Tonic that make compliant full-spectrum, non-synthetic products. And I just ask that y'all consider us good actors and really dive into the difference between natural and synthetic before you make your final decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome, introduce yourself, and go ahead.
Thank you. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Eddie Velez, and I'm the president of the Texas Hemp Coalition, and we are against Senate Bill 3. I own and operate Oak Cliff Cultivators and Ease Up, which is in Dallas, Texas. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, a hemp farmer, and retail store owner, and I'm proud to say we're a family and veteran-owned from Texas. We focus on quality products while educating our customers. Let me begin with, I grow CBG and CBD, and you cannot grow CBD and CBG without having THC. THC will have to be removed and extracted, thus creating increased manufacturing costs on us as a manufacturer, and the cost will be going back to the consumer. This is not fair, not reasonable, and not how Texans should treat responsible business owners. We follow the rules, we follow the regulations. SBD3 would take legal cannabinoids and full spectrum from thousands of responsible veterans, parents, and hardworking Texans who rely on hemp-derived cannabinoids and full spectrum products. I sympathize with parents in the room negatively affected by THC. Let me be clear, I fully support banning marketing against children. I have 2 kids of my own, I understand that. The consequences of SB3 will be devastating for small businesses. Thousands of jobs will be lost, even in my community. Small business owners like myself will be forced to break leases. I personally have a 5-year lease on my retail locations. Who will cover the financial losses for my business and others like me when these leases have to be broken? Many small business owners have put their entire life savings into these operations and will face massive debts and legal battles just to walk away from spaces we can no longer use. Texas don't want a ban. We want fair policies that protect consumers, prevent underage access, and allow responsible businesses to thrive. I urge this committee to vote against SB3. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony. Any questions for these witnesses? I thank each of you for being here. Thank you very much. The chair calls Oscar Guerrero, John Culp, Adam Bazaldua, Brandon Tijerina. Also we'll be looking for Gary Brandt, Ingrid Trim, Joe Mitchell, Wyatt LaRue, Darby Spears, Absar Ali. Again, I'm going to go through the whole list. Many folks are already seated, but want to make sure we have plenty of opportunities. Oscar Guerrero, John Culp, Adam Bazaldua, Brandon Tijerina, Gary Brandt, Ingrid Trim, Jao Mitchell, Wyatt LaRue, Darby Spears, Absar Ali. And if I called your name and you're not seated, stay close and we'll have you on the very next panel. So thank each of you for being here. And if you're ready, right over here in the pole position to introduce you, when you get, do you need a minute or do you want to go ahead and get started?
I'm okay.
Welcome. Get close to the microphone, introduce yourself, and give us your testimony.
Is this good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, it is. Thank you for hearing my concerns today. My name is Darby Spears. I live in Tyler, Texas. I've had epilepsy since I was 10 years old. This is my personal experience on how I know for a fact marijuana is an absolute trigger for my grand mal seizures. My last seizure was on January 2nd, 1998. Every January 2nd, I would be happy and proud of myself that my seizures had stopped. I was so very happy. On November 19th, 2009, a friend and I walked up to a doorway and there was a hint of marijuana smoke. I woke up on my bed with my throat raw and hurting. I had a terrible idea of what had happened because I woke up somewhere else and time had passed. I was weak and sore, so I stayed on my bed. When I asked what had happened, he said I had a bad seizure, and I started to cry and shaking my head, no. So that I could tell my doctor, I asked my friend to write down what he had seen. Word for word, this is what he wrote. She went down hard, collapsed. She hit her head. Her eyes rolled back into her head, all the way back. She started shaking all over. Her eyebrows went up to her hairline. She started drooling green and yellow. She couldn't breathe. She was choking. I had to save her life using CPR. It was November 19th, 2009, which happened to be my birthday. I was bruised all over. My throat was raw and sore. I felt the back of my throat with my finger, and it was all swollen up like a party balloon, all twisted up and lumpy, an allergic reaction. Walking places, riding with friends, public transportation are the only ways I will ever be able to get around. I don't want to die from marijuana. Being around someone who's just smoked it or vaped it, or approaching someone from around the corner while I'm at a city bus stop, just one little whiff is all it takes to bring on a grand mal seizure. I could have a seizure and fall into the street. Epilepsy is no joke, and I am terrified that I could die if marijuana is legalized. I do not want to leave this life that way. If it really can help those in pain from cancer, etc., then it should be regulated just like any other narcotic. We live in one of the largest countries in the world. Let us not follow the crowd and legalize it just because the rest of the world will, or one day soon. Big Pharma would probably love for you to legalize it, as would smoke shops. But for those who cannot be around it, you would be sentencing them to a very restricted life. Thankfully, smoking is not allowed in most public places, and you cannot smoke within 20 feet of businesses. So what if one of those unlucky folks walks up on a marijuana smoker? Secondhand smoke is one thing, but a secondhand high is something completely different and something I never want to experience again. You, ladies and gentlemen, have the power in your hands to forbid marijuana usage or legalize it. Consider those like myself. I know at least 20 others, and now I know there are more like me, who will suffer the most from those freely smoking or vaping. One man has heart attacks when exposed, and about those two are not around marijuana smoke and therefore do not know that they could be allergic to it or worse. Again, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Spears. Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. My name's good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Adam Basil-Dua. I serve as District 7 Council Member and the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Dallas. In accordance with the city's legislative program, I am here testifying in opposition to Senate Bill 3, which would effectively ban all hemp products in the state of Texas. I do appreciate the intention of this bill, especially when it comes to ensuring youth safety and to preventing dangerous or untested products flying under the radar. However, a total ban on these products misses the mark for 3 reasons. It sacrifices potential tax revenues generated by a well-regulated market, stifles business across the state, and infringes upon people's freedoms to make responsible decisions for themselves. First, this bill will drive sale of these products underground rather than create a market which benefits businesses, local governments, and taxpayers alike. Dallas adopted a position to support the development of legislation that brings a robust, well-regulated hemp and THC market to Texas, which would generate tax revenue without increasing the property tax burden on our residents. This bill sacrifices any progress towards that end by creating many challenges to businesses that try to do things the right way while eliminating hemp products as a source of tax revenue. Second, this bill may stifle a burgeoning industry and cause many Texans to lose their jobs, their small businesses to close, and manufacturing to leave our state. Rather than stifle this industry, we should be looking for ways to foster it in a safe way that emphasizes medical research findings and safe testing. The introduction of numerous criminal offenses related to the possession of sale of non-compliant products poses a risk of over-penalizing those who might inadvertently fall foul of these complex regulations. With the extensive labeling and packaging rules, the potential for misunderstanding and accidental non-compliance is substantial, which could unfairly penalize well-intentioned businesses. Third, this bill infringes on the personal freedoms of a responsible adult. We do not have these conversations around alcohol, an intoxicant that plays a part in many tragic situations across our state, including one of the leading causes of death. We respect an individual's right to enjoy a glass of wine with dinner or a beer at the Cowboys game. Why should a responsible adult not be afforded the same choice and trust when it comes to a substance derived from hemp, which is even safer? It is important that we continue to fine-tune regulations and ensure the safety of minors and to prevent untested substances from coming to the market without proper vetting. This bill goes far beyond what it should. It eliminates the market without generating taxes or implementing reasonable regulations, negatively impacting personal freedoms, and damages Texas's business-friendly reputation. For these reasons, I ask you to reconsider Senate Bill 3 and oppose its passage as written. Thank you for your time today, and I'm pleased to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Senators. My name is John Culp. I'm a multi-generational Texan dating back from when this state was a republic. I own a company called Beer Dudes Canning, or now is operating as Bev Pro Solutions. We're a Texas-based canned beverage contract packaging company employing 23 hardworking Texans. We're a licensed winery and distillery operating under the strict regulations of TABC, TTB to ensure proper compliance, product safety, and proper taxation of alcohol. We're also a hemp-based food manufacturer licensed in the state of Texas now for over 3 years. If SB 3 passes, it will bankrupt my company and eliminate 23 jobs, Texas jobs, overnight. And mine is just one of many responsible businesses that will be shut down. Not because we're acting outside of the law, but because the law is being written to erase an entire industry rather than to regulate it properly. I want to be clear. I am not against regulation. In fact, I fully support strict oversight and taxation of hemp-derived products like we have for alcohol. Right now, our industry lacks proper accountability. At my company, BevPro Solutions, we already implement strict quality control measures. We test every single batch to ensure compliance with the current laws and provide certificates of analysis for full transparency. We do this because we believe in Texas manufacturing consumer product safety. Instead of a ban, Texas should implement clear regulations that require all producers to meet the higher standards. Prohibition will not make these products disappear. It will push sales underground where products are unregulated, untaxed, and potentially, as we've learned, unsafe. Instead of forcing Texas businesses to shut down and eliminating good-paying jobs, let's do what we already do with alcohol: track production, enforce compliance, and collect tax revenue. I urge you, do not pass SB 3 as written. Instead, let's work together to create a safe, regulated, taxable hemp industry in Texas that protects both consumers and businesses. And I'm willing to take any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
My name is Ingrid Trim. I'm from, Keller, Texas. I tend to write out in poetry, so this is my experience here. For 35 years, I've lived with pain, but managed to stand to rise again until the year when fate was cruel and surgery stole what strength once ruled. Now walls remain to brace my core. Each step, each breath ends an endless war. They see me smile, yet they do not know the agony that will grow. A doctor helped, but laws took hold. His hands were tied, his heart grew cold. One by one, doors closed their way. I searched, I begged, no one would stay. With medicine gone, what could I do? The streets, the dark, I had no clue. Or to end it all, just drift to sleep, for no pain no longer cuts so deep. Some whispered, try the streets instead, with poison pills that leave men dead. Despair had wrapped around my chest, as hopeless as days denied me rest. Then someone whispered, try this instead, Delta 8, a thread to tread. Not for a hide, not to an escape, but just to live, to heal, to wait. It gave me strength, it saw me strew, until a doctor helped me come through. For 6 long months, it was my key, to cling to hope, to still be me. Yet now they seek to take away the chance that saved my life that day. They claim they act to keep us safe, yet push us towards a darker fate. I ask you now, just pause, just feel. Imagine wounds that never heal. Would you not fight? Would you not plead for just one hope, for just one need? Don't ban a choice that helps us cope. Don't steal away our final hope. Less control, let freedom stand. Our lives should not be in your hands. Also, so that some misconceptions and stuff. A lot of the laws that there are enough pain management options. Lawmakers often assume that patients have other legal avenues for pain relief. That's simply not true. Due to restrictive laws, many doctors are now too afraid to prescribe pain medication. I lived this reality for 6 months. When my doctor dropped me, there was no other provider who would take me. Many pain patients are being abandoned. Without Delta 8, they will have nowhere to turn. We have already seen a rise in suicides and overdoses due to the lack of access to legal pain management. Banning Delta 8 will only make this crisis work. The consequences of banning Delta 8, I feel, will be devastating. More chronic pain patients will turn to dangerous illegal drugs. Suicide rates may increase among those with left no pain relief. The government will be criminalizing suffering patients who just want to live. Yes, there will always be individuals who will abuse the substances, but that is true of any medication, including prescription painkillers. The answer is not to punish legitimate medical users by taking away yet another option for relief. We do not need a nanny state. We need personal responsibility for more freedom and less government. I plead for you to go ahead and oppose Senate Bill 3. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself. Get close to that microphone and go ahead.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair, and esteemed members of the committee. My name is Oscar Guerrero, and I have proudly called Texas my home for 17 years. I own Motivation Dispensary in McAllen. As a small business owner in the hemp industry, I am able to support my family. For this, I thank God. Through my work, I have witnessed firsthand how regulatory changes can disrupt our local economy and directly affect the well-being of community members like myself. For example, with just the news of Senate Bill 3, some owners are no longer ordering product, or clients have expressed their plans to purchase through illegal alternatives. I am here today to express my opposition on Senate Bill 3, or to Senate Bill 3. While the intent behind SB 3 may be to protect public health, its approach risks causing significant unintended harm. By proposing an outright ban on all consumable forms of THC, this bill will push many Texans toward unregulated and potentially unsafe products. Instead of creating a safer environment, it could drive consumers to unmonitored markets where the quality and safety of products are not guaranteed, ultimately undetermining the very objective of protecting public health. Moreover, this legislation could have a severe economic impact on our communities. Local businesses that have responsibly invested in producing and regulating safe THC products face the prospect of shutting down, leading to job losses and reduced tax revenues. For instance, I, along with other small business owners, have invested thousands into our business. This impact would ripple through our local economy, affecting not only business owners, but also the border community that depends on these jobs where I live. I believe that rather than implementing a blanket ban, states should adopt enhanced regulatory measures such as stricter age limits, mandatory child-proof packaging, ID scanners, and/or continuous quality assurance protocols that protect public health while sustaining our local business. In conclusion, I respectfully urge this committee to vote against Senate Bill 3. As someone who lives and works in this community every day, I can attest that policies which blend safety with responsible regulation are essential for our future. Let's treat this like alcohol. Thank you for your time and for your opportunity to testify. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you for your testimony. Senators, any questions for these witnesses? Thank each one of you for being here. Thanks for taking the time. The chair calls Brandon Tijerina, Gary Brandt, Jao Mitchell, Wyatt LaRue, Absar Ali. And we're also going to ask the following folks to be making your way down for the next panel. We'll be looking for Draven Sheen, Assad Prasla, Sakib Sobhan, Jesus Monjarez, Adet Rodriguez, and Steve DiMatteo. Again, for the next panel, we'll ask these folks to be coming down. We're looking for Absar Ali, Draven Sheen, Assad Prasla, Sakib Sobhan, Jesus Monjarez, Adet Rodriguez, and Stephen DiMatteo. Welcome. We'll start over here on my left, your right. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hello, my name is Brandon Tijerina. I'll be representing myself as well as my employees. I'm testifying to express my strong opposition to Bill SB 3. I firmly believe the bill will do more harm than good. I'm a fourth-generation Austinite. I'm the proud owner of ATX Organics, a brand I founded to uphold quality and to educate people on the benefits of cannabinoids such as THC, CBD, CBN, and CBG. Our gummies and tinctures are meticulously crafted in-house using the highest quality ingredients and, most importantly, precise dosages. I take great pride in setting an industry standard for transparency, safety, and effectiveness. Unfortunately, many wholesale brands, often found in gas stations, do not share this commitment. They prioritize profit over quality, misrepresent dosages, and contribute to the negative perception of our industry. That's not what we stand for. The countless written and verbal testimonials we receive from customers who have benefited from our products inspires us to continue our mission. However, if SB 3 were to pass, it would completely halt our progress and negatively impact the daily lives of individuals who rely on these products. This bill will not only jeopardize access to safe, effective cannabinoid-based alternatives, but also eliminate jobs and essential benefits like healthcare that's provided to my employees. The hemp industry offers countless individuals a natural alternative healing option to prescription medications that often cause more harm than good. Instead of outright restriction, I believe we should work together to establish sensible regulations that ensure product safety, transparency, and accessibility without dismantling an industry that helps so many. I urge you to reconsider the implications of SB 3 and to seek a balanced solution that protects consumers, small businesses, and the integrity of this industry. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Brandt. I'm the owner of SunMed, your CBD store in Lakeway, Texas. 8 years ago in 2017, I was in a really bad car accident. I broke my back. I suffered permanent nerve damage and permanent brain damage, something that I will never, ever heal from. And in that time, I lived on painkillers, muscle relaxers, nerve blockers, anti-inflammatory medications. It was destroying my life. I had to file for disability because of my gut health. I couldn't even get out of bed with the migraines. I found products, full spectrum, and by the way, I was on the Texas Compassionate Care Act. The prescription alone costs more than the products cost on that program, and that program is an absolute failure. But onto that, SunMed helped me, and I opened a store in 2022, and since then I've created a health and wellness related business that is helping people find natural relief to all sorts of issues. At SunMed, we have self-regulated for years now, and we can be a prime example of what proper regulation can look like. In my community, I support my local community through employment, events. I do a lot of charitable donations. This proposed ban on full spectrum products would eliminate 90% of my products and effectively put me out of business. Rather than an outright ban, I strongly urge you to consider a more robust regulatory framework, including stronger enforcement mechanisms, licensing requirements for both manufacturers and retailers, independent third-party testing, clear descriptive packaging that prohibits child enticing labels, as well as clear age restrictions for all consumable products. These measures ensure that adult consumers maintain access to safe products while preventing intoxicating products from getting to minors. I respectfully urge you to reject Senate Bill 3 and instead pursue more balanced solutions that protect people without also jeopardizing responsible businesses. Thank you for your time today and your consideration, and I freely invite each and every one of you to come visit my store in Lakeway if you want to see what proper regulation and an example of what this business and industry could look like.
Thanks for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak here today. My name is Absar Ali, and I'm a partner at the Bahama Mama franchise in Houston. I've transitioned into this great industry over the past several months, and I'm here to oppose Senate Bill 3. I left my corporate job in the oil and gas industry as a financial analyst to join this industry. After firsthand seeing the several benefits this industry, the people, and the products can bring forward. We serve customers that range from working professionals, veterans, retired individuals, patients with chronic conditions, entrepreneurs, and others that want to use our products to treat pain, improve their standard of living, and support their creativity. Customers purchase products based on their specific needs and desires. Amongst the most popular are products that aid in sleep, pain relief, and help to improve anxiety and depression. Customers have turned to natural methods as an alternative to pharmaceutical drugs. Sleep aids are used commonly and used specifically to improve overall sleep quality and to regulate your sleep cycle. These sleep aids contain CBN, which is often combined with hemp for optimal performance. Customers have shown great appreciation for CBN-based products as it has helped numerous people improve the quality of their life, which starts with their sleep. Products like these and several others are used by many to improve their daily lives in one way or the other. The customers that use our products for very functional purposes could be your neighbors that would be impacted by this ban, which will directly impact the quality of their lives, their ability to deal with the pain naturally, and find aid in our products that support their everyday lives. In addition to customers, there will be numerous vendors, business partners, employees, landlords, and other peers that have made their livelihoods in this industry, support their families, give to charities and other similar organizations, pay their taxes, and most importantly, employ other Texas residents. Thank you again for the time today and for allowing me to share my thoughts.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
My name is Wyatt LaRue. I'm the founder of Wyatt Perp. I am a transplant patient. I've come a long way, okay? I am here today to not tell you guys how this works, but to demand accountability for what you've done. Marijuana is a Schedule I narcotic. You guys are asking all of these people to relinquish their constitutional rights and violate federal law and overthrow the federal government of the United States of America. Marijuana is the legal description under UN drug charters of cannabis that describes illegal cannabis. Hemp is the legal definition of legal cannabis under UN drug charters. Therefore, marijuana will never be legal. I oppose 1505 because you're compelling me to violate federal law, and it goes against all the principles that you gentlemen and ladies have signed as Republicans, in which you have allocated for yourselves to follow under your rules as a conservative. I'm going to read the rest of this. I strongly oppose Senate Bill 3, which aims to ban hemp-derived THC. As the first company in Texas to bring to market legal Delta-9 THC, I assure you this is an advanced in technology, also known as intelligent design. My company does over 10 million revenue. I call the multi-billion-dollar technology I developed the Controlled Substances Act compliant THC delivery system. That was my sole intent. SB 3 isn't about public safety, but the exact opposite. It's a calculated move driven by money and corruption. If passed, it would destroy thousands of small businesses in Texas while negatively affecting millions of Texans. It will push Texans into an unregulated illicit market and funnel literally tens of billions of dollars into criminal enterprises. It's also ignoring my natural technology itself for corrupt bureaucratic-based systems that violate the laws of nature, AKA First Amendment rights. This bill will cost me countless tens of millions of dollars. Let's be clear, marijuana MSOs, multi-state operators are not legitimate nor legal businesses. They're simply drug cartels masquerading as Americans operating federally illegal businesses, crying afoul to all of you that they are trying to trick you into this because they don't have access to the federal court system like we do. They lose in court every time. Teacup license holders not affiliated with drug cartels are simply victims of predatory attorneys who are making a fortune engaged in RICO guiding clients how to break federal law. Under the leadership of the new Trump administration, many of these marijuana companies are to be labeled terrorist organizations due to their ties to organized crime, money laundering, and Schedule I narcotics trafficking, with over 100,000 citizens' deaths annually from fentanyl. Under the supreme law of the land, these federally illegal entities should not exist.
Go ahead and wrap it up. Go ahead and wrap it up.
Yes, sir. Because of RICO statutes that protect my business from this type of illegal behavior. They shouldn't exist, much less be supported by my state government, who now wants to use the DPS to sell illicit narcotics. Why do you want to turn Texas into a narco state like Mexico, where the cops pick who gets to sell illegal drugs? We need regulations that will address the concerns that we all have as Texans.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. You're recognized. Give us your testimony.
Chairman Hughes, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Joel Mitchell. I'm a third-generation Texan, born and raised in Houston. I have lived in Austin for the past 4 years while attending St. Edward's University, and I'm a proud constituent of Senator Saffarini. I have also worked in the hemp industry for 4 years in the retail sector, where I've firsthand seen how responsible regulation, not prohibition, ensures consumer safety. I agree with many provisions in SB 3 that protect public health, such as banning sales to minors, requiring child-resistant packaging, and improving labeling transparency. However, I strongly oppose the restriction limiting legal sales only to CBD and CBG. This is not regulation, this is prohibition. Texans should have the right to make informed, safe, and regulated decisions, rather than having the government dictate which cannabinoids they can and cannot purchase. These economic consequences will be severe. The hemp industry supports farmers, small businesses, and thousands of jobs across Texas. Restricting products that Texans already purchase legally will push consumers to unregulated markets or out-of-state businesses where Texas will lose tax revenue and oversight, making products less safe. Instead of forcing Texans to look elsewhere, we should focus on smart regulation that protects consumers while keeping businesses operating in Texas. Texas has always stood for limited government and free enterprise. Instead of banning an entire category of legal products, we should regulate them responsibly, balancing consumer protection with economic opportunity. I urge you to reconsider the broad restrictions in SB 3 and take a measured approach that ensures safety without limiting the individual liberty or hurting Texas businesses. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
And thank you for your testimony. Senators, any questions for any of our witnesses on this panel? Thank you each for being here. Thank you very much. The chair now calls Draven Sheen, Assad Prasla, Sakib Soban, Jesus Manjares, Idet Rodriguez, Stephen DiMatteo. And then we'll ask the following witnesses to be making your way down to be prepared. For the next panel, we'll be looking for Simon Demas, Candace Stinnett, Andre Sandoval, Elizabeth Groh, and Madison Wickham. Again, for the next panel, we'll be looking for Simon Demas, Candace Stinnett, Andre Sandoval, Elizabeth Groh, and Madison Wickham. Welcome. Introduce yourself and give us your testimony.
Thank you, Chairman and honorable members of the community. My name is Jesus Manjares. I am a partial owner of Bahama Mama. I'm a partner. Most of all, I'm a person that loves to learn any information pretty much. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely like to help as much as people as I can. The biggest thing for me with this bill I have against is pretty much any farmer that you ask, they will tell you that it would contain CBD, CBN, and THC, even if you're growing a hemp flower or even if you're doing a cannabis industry. So no matter what, this actual bill is saying that ultimately this right here, false or fake synthesized marijuana, it would not allow this to actually comply with that. So that's one thing that I want to point out. Another thing is most of my customers that come to me, they have no expectations pretty much. But for me personally, I like to learn about the cannabinoids that work differently with each person. And as we've seen before, there's a lot of different cannabinoids in the marijuana plant. But for example, CBD, CBN, and THC, if you only comply with those and if you strictly stick with organic, then that's what we all want. We all want to help each other and stay away from synthetic. So ultimately, these actual bans would completely take that off and continue to synthesize more CBNs, more CBDs, and anything else. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is one of my customers, Jenny, Jonathan, Ethan. These customers 9 years ago, their son had a traumatic head injury that caused epilepsy every other day or every day. They went to doctors, they went to all kinds of physicians, everything. They had prescribed 3 medications. Out of those 3 medications, they still seemed like they were going nowhere. The reason why is because they had all kinds of side effects. Once they came into my store not expecting anything, I let them know, hey, I have this tincture. It's 3Chi, comfortably numb. It contains CBD, CBN, THC, and because of Texas hemp laws, it also allowed me to give them a combination of 100 mgs of liquid juice. With those 2 combinations, they were able to cut off 1 full medication, a third of their second medication, and they're working right now to find the perfect dosage to completely take off all medications. With this ban, then they won't have the relief as a father, as a mother, or a son, and they will continue to suffer every day. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Welcome. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name's, I want to thank the committee, Chairman Hughes, and of course the staff for the attention at Senate Bill 3. My name's Idet Rodriguez. I'm a proud military wife of a 23-year retired veteran who served our country and now struggles with PTSD. My husband and I are proud parents of 4 amazing children, raising from age 25 to 16. However, over the past 3 years, our family has endured heartbreak and unimaginable pain. Our oldest son started vaping Delta 8s, Delta 9s, THC when he went off to college. What seemed a seemingly harmless habit led to his first psychotic break. He became paranoid, delusional, and suffered severe hallucinations, believing the Illuminati and the CIA were following him. He withdrew from school, lost track of reality, and his mental state continued to deteriorate. He would stay up all night with the lights on, stare into space for hours. He would hear voices, believing they were angels or even God. He stopped recognizing our home as a safe place, claiming it was a center for devil worship. He attempted to destroy it. At one point, he reached out to a neighbor asking for money so he could flee to Russia. Despite multiple hospitalizations, emergency room visits, 6 treatment facilities, we were repeatedly told different things. Sometimes that it was cannabis-induced psychosis, other times it was he just needed rehab, but never receiving the right level of care. His condition became so severe that he attempted suicide March of 2024. It was then that they only performed a genetic test that was finally performed, revealing that clozapine was the only medication compatible with his DNA to help break his psychosis. Unfortunately, by then, his prolonged psychosis had developed into full schizophrenia, a lifelong disability. But the devastation doesn't stop there. Not only is my son living with schizophrenia, but he also faces severe side effects from the medication meant to stabilize him. Clozapine has caused obesity, hypertension, depression, medicated-induced fatty liver, and prediabetes. He is consistently fatigued, needing 12 hours of sleep just to function. While medication may help control his psychosis, it has also created a new set of debilitating health issues, ones that will struggle for the rest of his life. This devastating experience has taken an immeasurable toll on our family and has affected our 3 children, drained our finances, and left us navigating a broken mental health system. If only we had known the dangers of THC products earlier, we could have prevented suffering. That is why I support Senate Bill 3, and I firmly believe that a complete ban of THC products is the only way to stop this harm and prevent additional burdens on Texas families and taxpayers. If these products are considered medicine, then the FDA should be the sole authority in regulating them, not gas stations and not vape